Hello, welcome to the fourth edition of our Fireside Chat. My name is Derek Thompson, the founder of Tweens Technology, and we are thrilled to have this edition here to talk about cybersecurity and how to keep our children safe. This is a special edition. We have a rock star panel, as always, and we're going to share insightful information with parents, teachers, and students to help everybody stay safe online. There's a lot of risks out there. There's a lot of things that we can fall prey to, and we want to make sure that we all stay as safe as possible. Again, Tweens in Technology is a STEM-based organization that is focused on one primary goal, and that is to get children involved in tech as early as possible. We have Python classes. We're going to start cybersecurity courses. Anything that helps kids get involved in tech, that is what Tweens Technology is all about. And we're able to provide this from our amazing volunteers and local sponsors that make all of this possible. So I'd just like to thank everyone that supports Tweens in Tech. And let's go ahead and get started with this fireside chat today about cybersecurity. So first up, I'm going to introduce our panel. We have Mr. Bart McDonough, who is the CEO and founder of Agio. Agio is a fantastic cybersecurity organization, and they have one of the things that impresses me so much about Agio are the people that they have. They happen to have two employees that sit on our board right now, and they just have a strong passion for making the community a better place. So we are thrilled and excited to have the founder and CEO of such an amazing company join us. He's also the author of a book called Cyber Smarts: 5 Habits to Protect Your Family, Money, and Identity from Cyber Criminals. How fitting is that? I'd like to bring to you Mr. Bart McDonough. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Derek.
All right. It's a pleasure to have you. Pleasure to have you. Also understand, not only will you answer some very tough questions today, but you will also give us a presentation.
I will. It's going to be about 10, 15 minutes just to highlight some of the challenges and, more importantly, some of the solutions that we can all deploy to improve our own cybersecurity.
Fantastic. All right. Well, we are all looking forward to that. So thank you for joining us once again.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, next up to bat, we have the past president of the Information System Security Association, current sponsorship director. This guy is he's one of the people that is very responsible for making Tweens in Technology happen. Has donated personally to our cause, both monetarily and with his time. He's presented more times than I can count. Is a wonderful guy and wealth of knowledge. I bring to you with Mr. Rob Martin. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well. Hey, Derek. Hey, Bart. So excited to be part of another fireside chat. This is exciting. So looking forward to it.
Yes. And I know you're joining us in a little different capacity. You know, in the past we've had you moderate, which is great. But I'm taking that duty today because I want to actually get some more of that insight knowledge that you have. So we're going to join us in receiving some of these hard questions today.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Great. All right. Well, let's get to our students. One of the great features of this fireside chat is not only do we have adults here with all this knowledge, but we also have students. We have students that are learning, growing, becoming future leaders. And it's great to get their insight, great to hear their questions, just great to collaborate and connect with them. So next up, we have a Tweens in Technology student that was with us this summer. She was a rock star. She blazed through her Python training, was definitely one of our leaders and showed a strong interest in cybersecurity as we had a great presentation this summer. I bring to you Miss Semra. Semra, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Doing great. Thank you for joining us. Big thank you to your parents, to your school for allowing you to step aside for a little bit today and join us. We really appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right. Great, great. And we have one more guest here to join us. Last but certainly not least, one of our long-standing members of Tweens in Tech. She's been with us for like 3 years at least. Is only a sixth grader, if I have my numbers correct here, but has been with us for a very long time. Super sharp student. Also is Python trained amongst many other things, and will bring a lot to our show. And this is her second Fireside Chat with us. I bring to you Miss Tarini.
Hi.
Hey, all right. Pleasure to have you. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, thank you.
All right, good. Okay, all right. Well, let's get into it. So I'm going to start with our adults here and just ask a question. I'm fascinated personally by everybody's journey into cybersecurity. You know, how'd you get started? What kind of was that spark to really get you going? And that's what we try to do with Tweens in Tech, is to ignite the fire with the students that we work with now. So Bart, I'll start with you, sir. Could you tell us what led you to pursue a career in cybersecurity, or what was that initial spark for you?
Yeah, I've spent kind of my entire life fascinated with technology. I think we got my first computer when I was 9 years old. It was around Thanksgiving. We named the computer Turkey, I guess back when you named computers, and just been fascinated with them ever since. And then started doing it professionally. And for a while, a lot of the technology world was dominated by, you wanted to make stuff not break, right? Like that was the thing. And then the reason stuff started breaking over the last, call it 10 to 15 years, was because of cyber issues, bad actors. And so I think it was a combination at first of like the intellectual problem of how to protect networks and how to protect individuals. And then as it's kind of progressed, I just love helping people. I love putting together what sounds very complicated to the layperson, cybersecurity, and making it in kind of this bite-sized, digestible set of things they can do to improve their security. And it's just incredibly rewarding. So it's a very interesting field, very dynamic. We're going to hear more about it.
Absolutely. Well, that's great, and I've heard some similarities there amongst others, and there's so many journeys, and yours is one that's very interesting. All right, well, Mr. Rob, I'm going to ask you the same question. What kind of got you started into cyber? What was that spark for you?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. I'm going to give credit where credit is due. I had an intervention from my 8th grade teacher. His name is Mr. Melton. Mr. Melton was teaching BASIC at the time. For those for the younger ones on the phone, that was a very basic way of interacting with a machine, and really lit me on fire. He was not only inspiring, but he also taught very simply. I'll go back to what Einstein said: if you cannot explain it simply, you don't know it well enough. Well, fortunately for me, he knew it very well. What came out of that is a real drive and passion to get a computer, build a computer, put one together. And what was kind of neat about that is, because I was so passionate about it and several others that were in my class, we got an opportunity to teach computer camp to 3rd graders. So the county actually hired us to come in, work with them with computer games, get them introduced to computer games. And I'm sure as Derek understands, Bart, and our audience, that not everyone can afford a computer. So the school was providing an opportunity for students to come in, get their hands on the keyboard, and have that. From there, I was given an opportunity by Alan Harper. Alan Harper is a retired Marine Corps major. He started a company called N2Net Security, and he is the lead and co-author for Gray Hat Hacking, the Ethical Hacker's Handbook. I was kind enough to put a little mention in there to one of the books to me. He started my career in cybersecurity 15 plus years ago. From there, I never say I'm self-made. I'm made from the collective that's around me, which, Derek and the entire ISSA board has been part of that. So that very beginning started with a teacher who cared, lit me on fire, and then that drive had to be continued by all the people around me. So that's how I started in computers.
All
and
right.
IT security.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing that. And I do want to mention one thing for our audience there. I'm already seeing some thumbs up. Feel free to post questions. We will have a time at the end where we will address your questions. So if you're watching us through YouTube, through Facebook, if you submit a question, we will see it we'll click on it, highlight it, and we'll be able to answer that. So please go ahead and start sending your questions to us. All right. Well, let's hear from our students here. I am so curious to know, we'll start with Semra. Why are you interested in cybersecurity right now?
I'm interested in cybersecurity because people are using technology for 24/7. And since COVID started, people started using more, and people are writing their personal stuff on technology. And I really want to protect myself from hacking and from other those stuff. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, there are a lot of hackers out there, so you need to know how to protect yourself. And I think you're going to do very, very well in cyber. So, all right. Well, thank you for sharing that. And Tarini, I'd like to have ask you that same question. What interests you about cybersecurity?
What interests me is that people can take what they really like they really like coding, and then they can use that knowledge to actually help people use the internet and be safer.
Absolutely. Yeah. You can apply that knowledge right away. Right away. Yeah, great questions. Wow, this is going to be great. All right. Well, I tell you what, we have the pleasure of hearing a presentation from Mr. Bart here. So we're going to show his presentation and get some insights on and some more specifics on how we can stay safe online. So let's have our presentation, and then we'll dive into a little deeper discussion after that. So Bart, I'm going to pull this up, and I'm going to give it away to you, my friend.
Wonderful. Thank you. And I'm going to try to do this quickly so we can get to those, to hear from those students a bit more. I think we all want to hear from them some more. Again, thanks for having me, Derek, and the entire organization. As Derek mentioned, I did write a book a few years ago, it's a little 2 years ago, called Cyber Smart. You should see at the bottom of your screen at some point a ticker that'll give you details. We're giving away, I think, 20 of these. So feel free. I wrote this book for this audience. I mean, you can see the kind of subtitle here around 5 habits to protect your family, money, identity. Those aren't necessarily mutually exclusive. And there's going to be the first half kind of explains the overall cyber environment, and the second half of the book gives very practical advice on specific things. I'm sure we're going to cover some of those specific topics in the questions here, but let me dive into it and try to give you a primer on cyber as we see it right now. I'm going to start with probably an unorthodox slide here. Most of you know what I'm going to say. When we think about improving our cyber health, or you'll hear me say cyber posture, you know what to do. It's kind of like if I said, what do you need to do to get in shape? We all know what to do. Maybe we want to learn how to do yoga. We want to learn some new moves or whatever, but we really know what to do. So what keeps us from getting in shape? It's actually doing it, right? And so I'm going to make sure you know what to do. But the thing about cyber, that if I have one outcome today, is that you actually take some recommendation and then go do it. You do it consistently. And I'm not talking about committing to an hour workout or anything like that, but I'm talking about some consistent application of these best practices that are going to make us all much more safe online. And probably this might be the oddest slide you see in a cybersecurity presentation, and it's somewhat on purpose. So let's pull out of the cyber world for a second. Let's think about the real world. Let's say on your way to work, you had a friend that told you that someone tried to pickpocket them 2 to 3 times each time they went to work and each time they came home. And they said, what should I do about it? Well, and I've asked this question in groups before, and people have said, I'll carry a guard dog or have some kind of weapon or whatever. But the best answer is usually get out of that area, right? Leave that neighborhood, leave that situation. And that's a pretty good answer. But let's now bring it back into cyber. We all of us live in a very dangerous cyber neighborhood. And what does that look like? What does that mean? Well, the average US professional, someone tries to steal from them 4 to 5 times a day. On businesses, there's more than 100 attempts per day to break into a business, sometimes thousands, sometimes millions. This is a very dangerous neighborhood. But that's That's all of this I'm talking about is very much on the bad actor side. Someone is trying to steal from you. Someone is trying to break in, right? But that's not the only threat. The other threat is self-imposed. And I show this graphic, and right in the middle is you have this structure on fire. And if you think about, like, what is the number one reason that homes catch fire? Is it because of an arsonist that comes in and tries to set a house on fire? It's not. It's actually usually self-imposed. It's a candle that was left unattended or some cooking accident issue. We do it. Just like with floods and this carbon monoxide. So when we think about cyber, I want us to think about two different things. There is protection from the bad actors, all the cyber criminals out there, and that's a real threat. But there's also protection from ourselves on our own computers, on our own networks. And so I just wanted to start there and set that stage. But let me dispel a big myth. And one of my favorite things whenever cybersecurity comes up in a movie or a TV show is you always have that hacker with the black hoodie on, usually staring at a bunch of screens, right? It looks like the Matrix. And we think this genius is breaking into computers and breaking into networks. And who are we to stop this computer genius? So why even try? Why bother? And that's a very common, I hear that from very high ups in organizations, all the way to just average individuals trying to protect their family. But that's a myth. That situation, that genius hacker that's breaking the encryption key, that only occurs about 3% of the time. So what happens that other kind of 97% of the time? They take the path of least resistance. So what is the path of least resistance? Like, what does that even look like? Well, if I'm not going to pick the lock, I'm not going to crack the encryption or pick the lock, maybe I'll just ask someone to unlock it for me. And that's what happens. I'm sure you've all heard of phishing. Generically, we call this social engineering. This is this idea of, if I was trying to break into Derek's computer, yeah, I might try to hack the encryption. But the simpler way is I just ask Derek, hey, Derek, what's your password? And I do it in a few clever ways, creative ways, but I try to trick him, manipulate him so that he would give me that answer. Because once I have that answer, it's a whole lot easier than trying to pick that lock. So we usually are the ones that perpetrate our own mistakes, our own crimes in this way. So here's a graphic. It says most of us are guilty, but guilty of what? Let me tell you a quick story. We had a client and his daughter played on a lacrosse team here in the Northeast. And the team had set up this website that they could log into and check the schedule and post pictures and see the stats of all the girls and all that stuff, upcoming games and announcements from the coach and all that stuff. And they all signed in and put a username and password, just like we all do, right? I'm sure all the parents on here have some login to some school activity. There's nothing on there. You're not worried about it, right? There's no money. There's nothing really personal on there. So you think it's pretty low stakes. So you sign on. Well, what unfortunately happened is a parent did this website. No one updated it for a while. And some hacker found it and it was wide open. And the hacker is able to download all the usernames and all the passwords. And they were notified, this gentleman I know who happened to be a client, and he was notified and he thought, well, it's okay. We're just going to create a new lacrosse team website and log in and go about our business. About a week later, it was late on a Saturday night, early on a Sunday morning. We later found out all of his financial accounts started getting locked out, all of his banking, all of his investment accounts, and they were slowly starting to move money around. I shouldn't say slowly, they're quickly starting to move money around. And so on Monday, when he went to check some stuff, he couldn't log in, and a whole process began of trying to get his life back, get his money back. So what happened, right? How did it go from some innocuous website talking about lacrosse to this guy's financial situation being potentially ruined? Well, the same password he used on his lacrosse website, let's just say, he used lacrossedad@gmail.com, and he had some password 123, for example. That was the same password he used on his Gmail. Then once the hackers got into his Gmail, Then they were able to go on and reset all the passwords to his JP Morgan account and his Citibank account and all these other financial accounts. And they were able to take over all those accounts and then start causing damage financially. And so this is a very common problem that we see. And this is illustrated here by, it's the equivalent of just leaving that key under the doormat. This happens a lot. So there's two big problems I've talked about: getting socially engineered, giving away your password, or simply reusing your password. On average, a US professional has 196 different logins. That probably resonates with a lot of you. You have all kinds of logins to different websites and services and whatnot. But on average, we have 4 different passwords. So that means there's a ton of password reuse. So that means if one of those websites gets compromised, if one of those websites get hacked, you're now putting at risk all of those others that have that same username and password. So that sets the stage. That's what's happening. But how do you protect yourself? And we call this brilliance in the basics. If you saw the subtitle of the book, it said 5 activities. These are those 5 activities. They're not meant to be a secret. But and I will tell you, if you follow these, even 3 out of 5 of these consistently, the odds of you getting hacked and the odds of that being really serious dramatically go down. So let me just walk through them real quick, and then we'll hand it back over to Derek to continue the presentation. Number 1, turn on 2-factor authentication. We often call this 2FA. So all of your website logins, I want you to prioritize your email accounts, your banking accounts, and your investment accounts, social media as well. And if you don't know how, you might not, simply Google, how do I enable 2FA for, and then insert the name of the website. You will see it very quickly, tons of websites, almost every major email site, banking, investment, social media, they all enable 2FA. That's that thing where you have to type in your username and password and then enter in some code. Usually that code's generated on your phone. It might be text to you as well. All of those are really good options. There isn't a silver bullet in cybersecurity, but if there was, that's my answer. Next, apply the latest updates. Now be honest with me. How many of you, if I went to your computer, to your phone, there'd be some outstanding update, and every now and then it asks you, do you want to apply these updates? And you go, not today, remind me tomorrow, remind me later, no, right? You just keep ignoring it. You keep kicking you keep kicking that can down the road. I will tell you, this is so important for you to do. Apply those updates. You get the next level of protection. It makes it that much harder for these bad actors, and they'll simply move on to someone who hasn't applied updates in months and months. Next, I want you to have unique and complex passwords. Most importantly, I want them to be unique. Let's prevent what happened to Lacrosse Dad to you. And if you have unique passwords, if you have 196 different websites you're logging into, let's have 196 unique passwords. Complex, great, and that's important, but unique is more important. But how are you possibly going to remember 196? Use a password manager. I personally use LastPass. We have 2 others here, 1Password and Dashlane. Both are really excellent. All 3 are really excellent. If you go to a cybersecurity conference, 90% of the professionals there are using these. Next, we want you to have antivirus on your PCs and your Macs. There's some myth out there that Macs don't need endpoint protection or antivirus software. Make sure you do, and make sure it's updated. And then lastly, should something go wrong, should something fall through the cracks and you have a problem and your data gets locked out or encrypted or destroyed through cybersecurity, through some cyber attack, we want to make sure you have a backup. These are the most important. If you're watching right now, screenshot this list, take a picture. These are the things that we want you to do. These are the behaviors. These are those exercises, drawing back to my personal health analogy, that we want you doing on a consistent basis. This is not about doing this once and forgetting it. You need to make sure you're doing these activities continuously. These are the most important ones. We have a list of some other kind of more technical ones, right? That I'll leave up here. But really at this time, I'm going to hand it back to Derek. On the presentation, I do have my number, email. Please email me. I love interacting working with you on ways that we can better answer your questions and address your needs. So feel free to reach out. But Derek, pass it back to you.
All right. Thank you, Bart. That was fantastic. I'm gonna probably pause the chat and go change all my passwords right now. Yes, thank you for that insight again. Yeah, screenshot. We'll share this and replay this, but very great and valuable information there. So let's dive back into talking about cyber a bit more here, and I want to kick it back to our students. Tarini, I'm going to come over to you. So you may have had a perception before of what a cyber criminal look like or behave like or whatever, but has your perception changed after hearing that presentation, and what do you envision now of a cyber criminal or a hacker?
I imagine before the presentation, I imagined a cyber criminal like the black hooded ones from movies and TV shows. Now I'm just imagining them as like everyday people, like ordinary people, like actual criminals who could be anyone in the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's excellent.
Go ahead, Bart.
No, I mean, it's so true. I mean, some of the biggest cyber criminal organizations now are hiring behavioral psychologists out of college because they want to manipulate individuals, not just manipulate code. So you're absolutely right. These are criminals that are just finding ways and methods to steal from people.
Fascinating. How about you, Simra? Has your perception changed?
Yeah, yes, it did.
Yeah. Did you have the same thought, hoodie in the basement, hacking in? And yeah, now it's definitely much more broad than that, diverse. So comes in many shapes, sizes, and et cetera. So yeah, all right. Well, good. Well, we're thinking in a different path now just from that presentation. So Bart, I do have a question for you. This is something that I've heard, and I have even had the thought myself. So I need you to dispel this for me. So we have our password manager. Okay, I've got 196, 200 different passwords. I can't keep up with them. But my fear has always been, let me just say, okay, it's me. My fear has always been, okay, if I have this password manager, if that gets hacked, then what? So that's been my hesitancy to move to one of those platforms. What's your rebuttal to that?
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of the most common question we hear, and it's a good one, right? We've been kind of taught not to put all our eggs in one basket, right? And this sounds like a egg and basket problem. What I would say is, well, what's the alternative, right? So the alternative tends to be what I just described: 4 passwords, 196 logins, right? That's usually not a very satisfying answer to people. So let me give you the kind of next level of depth. We still want to turn on 2-factor authentication on all those websites. So if you do that and your password manager gets hacked, well, the value of the individual password is much less, right? Also, on your password managers, enable 2-factor authentication. Make that very difficult for the bad actor to get into. And a lot of studies have been done. I participated in one with a couple of professors at a university, that the overall efficacy of people's login safety goes up dramatically with password managers vis-a-vis other methods. And usually those other methods are more complicated or less secure. More complicated might be you want to write them down. Well, think about how mobile we are and how portable we are. Like, can we really keep those together? What if you lose that, right? So it's a unsatisfying answer, I think, at some level, but we think this problem, which is not, or this solution to the overall password problem is not perfect, but it's the most effective.
Okay. Well, no, that definitely makes me feel better. I mean, I've seen all types of, I know you've seen way more than me. I've seen the whole Google Doc to
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Store passwords and yeah, I could only imagine the.
Yeah, I mean, if you remember a quick story, the Sony hack from a few years ago, you know, the Sony hackers found on the Sony network a file called passwords.xls. It was a spreadsheet that had, I don't know, 100 plus passwords, if I remember correctly. They had a ton of passwords on there. And that's a corporation, right? They would have been much better off having it in a encrypted database that was protected by two-factor, right? With very few people having access to it.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, let's move on to another question here. Mr. Rob, this one is for you. I think it's right up your alley with your teaching background and all the people that you mentor. What would you say to the person that is trying to, I guess this might be a two parts, you can take it in two different ways, but I ultimately want you to give advice for people that want to pursue a career in cybersecurity. So maybe approach this from a child perspective, or let me say tween perspective, like we have here, our tweens, and then maybe for the person that is coming out of high school, young adult, or even full-blown adult. Maybe give me both scenarios.
Sure. So for children, young adults, as you're trying to go into cybersecurity, learn about computers, the most powerful thing you have is to raise your hand. Schools have great opportunities for you to get engaged in clubs. If you want to make friends, you want to make yourself friendly. So getting involved with the school, asking about organization like Tweens Technology, you have to ask the questions. The part I also would say is you want to be passionate about it. When you're first learning something new, it may be a little clunky, it may be a little confusing, but having that perseverance as each one of the children that are represented here, the perseverance to come on and take part in a chat on a platform, talking to adults, having those opportunities. You got to make those opportunities in the time of the opportunity. So for a young person, for a young adult, put your hand up. I am interested in learning computers, and don't give up. Keep asking the questions. How can I get involved? Are there any clubs? Are there anything available? Talk to your teachers about outside organizations like the Raleigh ISSA chapter. I will tell you, for Derek and I, we met because we used to work together, and it was an opportunity to come and get involved, and that's how it started. So put that hand up. And the last part is never, never, never give up. That's a Winston Churchill quote, by the way, but never, never, never give up. If you're interested in this, it's like any other tool that you have. You want to keep sharpening it, you want to keep improving it, and you want to keep using it well. So transitioning into the college student, or maybe even high school and college student, it's similar advice, but also get involved. Simply showing up to school and going through the day and leaving the end of the day and doing the same thing over and over again is just going to be maddening. Plan your day. So when you wake up in the morning, make sure you set aside some time for your new craft. If you're interested in gaming, you can be a consumer of a game, or you can actually game. Epic Games is local here in Cary. They have the Unreal Engine that can be taught for students, college students. Is something that you can take. I know Wake Tech Community College offers a class in that. Get involved in organizations. I'll brag on East Carolina University, which I am alum. Steve Baker there is heading up our student chapter that was developed because we had a good relationship. But reaching out to students and being involved in that was very big. So be involved, keep working on your craft, and also have a plan. I'm going to finish on that. Have a plan. Each day, devote time. I recommend at least 40 minutes a day. Carve that time up, sit down at your desk, and work on that. Get a mentor. I mentor a lot of folks, but unless you devote that 40 minutes spending time with your mentor, asking questions, how did you get where you got where you were? Bart had a great story. Derek has a great story. I've been so fortunate to have interactions. Valdez Ladd in my life. I could go all down the list. Ryan Lynn, people that have embraced me, that have helped me to carry it through. So get that hand up, get involved, plan that time, and make yourself friendly.
I like it. That's great advice. And yes, as far as a mentor, can't stress the importance of that enough. So I know myself personally, I'm going to reach out to some folks and work on that myself. So great advice there. Have a question about gaming, because I know that is an open area here. First off, so Semra and Tarini, do you game at all right now?
I do.
You do? What do you like to play?
I mostly play Roblox and Minecraft.
Oh yeah. Good. How about you, Simra?
I play Minecraft and Geometry Dash.
Nice. Okay. So we're gonna talk about that for a second here. And I want to ask both Rob and Bart separately. You can kind of take turns taking this one, but do you have any specific advice when it comes to staying safe online for gaming? To how don't since Rob you just went, maybe Bart you take it and then we'll kick it to Rob.
Yeah, the first thing the first piece of advice I'd give to parents is make sure you know what platforms your children are on, right? Most of the big platforms have great parental controls so that you can restrict kind of the age appropriateness of the game, the violence levels, all of those things. So make sure you know, and that might sound basic, but I've talked to a lot of parents that maybe got victimized by something and they never knew their kid was playing a certain game. So really know what's happening and then investigate what kind of parental controls. The last thing I'm going to say to this is go back to those 5 basics. A lot of them offer 2-factor authentication. And a lot of them, make sure that you're not repeating the passwords. And I think those are the big ones. I'll pass it over to Rob. There's a few other things I can add, but I don't want to take all the answers here.
Well, I hope I have some different answers, but I would say the very first thing is control the account. So I play Minecraft too. I know it's a big shock. The kids are going to go, "Whoa, really?" I actually play Minecraft too. I started my own account. I started my own Microsoft account and I actually play with a young man who's a big part of my life, and we actually play Minecraft together. So when we're playing, I set his account up with his mom's permission, and I control that account. So I control it. So whatever the downloads are, whatever's going on, I control the account. Very important to think about. Now, the last part of this is kids, spend time with your parents. You can have your private time, but make sure that you're sitting down and sharing that. Parents, get involved. If you don't know how Minecraft works, get an account. Log in. Play, have some time that you can learn what the game is doing. And if you're going to have some interactions, especially as they are online, I'm going to go back to what Bart said. Use password managers. Make that password extremely difficult to guess. Use multi-factor authentication on those accounts. And here's the other thing. Do weekly auditing. I do weekly auditing. And children, please understand this too. Mom and dad should come to you and sit and listen to what you're saying. If you happen to have a headset on, might take that off and just listen to the conversation. Make sure that conversation is appropriate. Make sure you're not sharing that information. How old you are, where you're located, what school you go to. Those are all little key indicators of potential compromise, as someone on the other side that you may not be able to see is potentially trying to get some information about you.
Good advice. Anything else to add on that, Bart, after hearing Rob?
No, that last bit is exactly what I was going to say. I mean, I'll just say, there's a lot of chats now with almost every game. Make sure as a parent, you know what's happening there. There's some that you can disable that. I think at certain ages, that's probably inappropriate. But I'll tell you, get involved. I think I just want to reiterate that. My son, who's now 17, when he was about 10 years ago, I loved playing all those Lego games with him, and we had a blast, and it was able to teach him kind of what to do and what not to do. And it created a nice level baseline for the two of us. And so all really solid advice.
Good. All right. Well, thank you for that. And let's come back to our Tweens and Tech students here, Tarini and Simra. Tarini, I'm going to start with you. So I know you've heard a lot of insight and information today. Is there anything that you were not doing before that you've heard that you feel that you need to put into practice now and start doing?
I was actually reusing a lot of passwords. Like passwords that are easy for me to remember, I was reusing a lot, and I was also using the same username a lot. But now, after looking at the presentation, I'm thinking that I should probably change the passwords and usernames instead of just completely reusing them.
Yeah, I have to raise my hand on that and duck my head down, and yeah, I've got a little bit of work to do. All right. So, Simra, how about you?
I'm usually using the same passwords too. Like there's only 2 passwords that I actually use, and I never made updates too. Yeah.
Oh yes, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Simran and Trini, don't feel bad. I will tell you, every adult who's watching this, they're nodding their head going, I need to change passwords. I need to apply updates. So please don't feel bad.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think a lot of people may feel good right now because they just upgraded to the new iOS only because it's been in the news. But I'm sure the next one, if it's not in the news, there'll be a lot of people not
Correct. Yeah.
right away. I have to admit that's probably the only reason I'm on it right now. Yeah, good advice. Well, yeah, we'll put those into motion along with two factor and all those other pieces. So, coming back to you, Bart, I want to see if there's. I know we've covered a lot of the basics, so there might not be in anything else, but I know part of our audience here is geared towards parents and educators.
Sure.
So maybe you even take it from the educator standpoint, because I know we've already talked about the parents a lot, but is there anything for the teacher that has a classroom full of kids or someone that's an advisor or anything like that? Is there anything in terms of keeping their students safe that you can share with us?
Yeah, I think and for some educators, they have control of the systems they use, the tools they use that they require their students to use, and where possible, whether they have direct control or they have influence, make sure those systems require complex passwords. Make sure those systems require two-factor authentication. Really press for those higher level, standards requirements. Super important. That'd probably be my number one. I think, as I said, there's no silver bullets in this space, but if there was one, two factors the closest. So let's make sure that our students and our educators are using two factor, and then really try to instill these basics. I think cybersecurity is so important as a foundation. Try to bring in a speaker, try to bring in some YouTube video and expose them to this a couple of times a year, right? It might just be a 30-minute little session, but try to find time to really raise the awareness, the education of this.
Good point. Yeah, that's a great point. And you see the comments are funny that are coming in. Everyone's raising their hand, admitting to their guilt on needing to change their passwords. That's pretty funny. So
just don't put your passwords on those comments, please.
Right.
Do not.
No. No, absolutely not. So, Rob, anything else to add to that from an educator standpoint? That we have a lot of teachers that kind of follow us. Any other advice for them?
Absolutely. Just get the students talking. Get the students talking in the classroom. It's great to hear an adult have a conversation and give good advice, but children need to also have a voice to be able to show examples. This happened to me, or feel free to ask a question. I was online and I was talking to this person and they said this. Has anyone else experienced that? And give them a good medium, a good comfortable environment where they can talk with each other, ask questions. For adults, take note of those questions, collect that information, and speak to them individually as needed. But children need to talk and share their experiences and have that voice. And that's one thing I would encourage more of. Give them a voice, sit them down, get them that opportunity. It may take a little bit of time, a bit of repetition, but I would encourage that.
Right. Good info. Well, now we're gonna go ahead and move into our live Q&A portion here. So those of you that are watching, I know you're admitting to your guilt. We would love to hear any questions that you have. So please go ahead and put those in the comment section, and we'll go ahead and pull those up and try to answer those for you. But while you're typing in your questions, I want to give our students the opportunity first to perhaps ask any questions that they may have. So Tarini, is anything on your mind that you have a question on that maybe hasn't been answered in terms of staying a little more safe online?
Not yet, I think.
Okay. All right. Well, we shared a lot of good information. So That's the most important thing. So you have a lot of new practices to put in place. How about you, Simra?
No, you explained everything.
Yeah, explain. Yeah, we've made it so easy. Like, okay, these are the 5 basics. This is what you need to do. It's like, what else? What else do we ask? We just follow. Okay, I follow this, and I've decreased my chances of dealing with any major issues. So much percent. So I think that's really the main thing there. So I would say, just in closing, then perhaps give you guys the opportunity to share any final thoughts that you may have. If there's anything that you didn't say, or just a closing comment, or anything to kind of start to sign us off. So Rob, let me give you the floor, and then we'll go over to Bart.
Sure. I would actually like to end with a challenge for those who are listening live, or those who are going to hear this after the fact. I challenge you to get involved. Get involved in Tweens in Tech. Get involved in the community. Focus on giving back. Just take that opportunity to go in and speak. You don't have to be an expert to sit down and have a conversation with a group of children. Find a buddy and get out and get involved. That would be my takeaway and my challenge to all the ones that are listening. And if you have questions, we're here, Bart and I, the Raleigh ISSA, and Derek, and we'd love to have you as part of the team.
Love it. Great insight and final thoughts. And Tony, thanks for your message there. Signed up for 1Password during the chat. Nice. Thanks for the motivation. Yep, I will be doing the same here as well. So we have a lot of converts here. So Bart, anything else you want to leave us with today?
Yeah, I think that we think of this world as kind of in a very binary sense. We think we have to be perfect, and if we're not perfect, I'm going to do nothing at all. And what I would tell you is strive to get a little better on all 5 of those. You're not going to go usually in one day from having 1 to 4 passwords to having 196, but chip away at it. This is, again, I think the parallels to our health are very good, very accurate. And what I'll tell you is I think this was in 2020, we had 17 clients that had some kind of serious incident. And of those 17, all 17 had failed to do at least 2 of those 5. And I believe 15 of them failed to do 3 of those 5. So this is not a matter of being perfect. This is a matter of being good to very good. And we want you to, kind of just chip away at it, build good habits, think about it, put some reminder in your calendar once a week, once a month, to think about updating your computers, to think about making sure you have different passwords, to check a gaming log, as Rob mentioned. So what I want you to take from here is not just that knowledge. Remember, it's that consistent application of it. So how are you going to remind yourself to do these things? And that's really the one takeaway I'd ask everyone to walk away with.
I like that. I think that is a great takeaway. And we do have, from Jackie Pomalis Moody, in my home, we have many devices. What recommendations do you have to secure the many devices in our home?
Rob, you want to take that? I'm happy to.
Yeah, I'll kick it off. I think the first thing is remove all the default passwords. So many devices come with you with default passwords. Remove them. When penetration tests that we've done in the past, usually 25% of those devices had default passwords on them. Make sure you follow the hardening recommendations. And the last thing I would say, get on YouTube. There are so many wonderful opportunities out on YouTube for you to look at ways to harden your devices. And when in doubt, reach out to your local security professionals. Reach out to the Raleigh ISSA. Get some advice on those. So definitely remove those default passwords, rotate those passwords as we mentioned before, and of course, remove those default passwords. That would be my first kick at it.
Yeah, and I'll just tell a quick story. There's a great book on this, but the first real cyber breach in the United States that occurred about a nuclear facility, it was because they left the default passwords in place. So Rob couldn't be more accurate. Default passwords tend to be a real problem. Change those passwords. What I typically say about like home routers and Wi-Fi, to really simplify this, if your device is kind of 4+ years older, replace it. You're going to have two benefits. There's been significant benefits around security in this kind of last 4 years on those devices. And you're going to get faster Wi-Fi, and no one complains about faster Wi-Fi in your home. So those are, I'd really look at that. I think that's a kind of a cheap win. There's not a lot of ways I'm going to tell you to spend money to make things better. In your home, that is a way to do that. For a couple $100, you can get faster Wi-Fi and really improve your security. But the thing I'll just reiterate, make those updates. So if you have smart light switches, make sure they're updating. If you have smart Xboxes and PlayStations, make sure those are getting updated. That's really, really important. Make sure all those devices, not just your iPhones and your laptops, all the devices in your home are set to update.
Great advice. Even though they may take a long time.
Sometimes, yeah.
My goodness, like I have to set it overnight and let it let it run.
That's okay. It's it can take its time overnight.
Got to stay safe. Yeah. Yep. All right, and we have another one here. Great information. I am in the risk management world, and even insurance carriers are seeing an increase in cyber claims for individuals and their children, and they do offer coverage for bullying. Wow, that is very insightful. Did not know that. So yeah, it just shows the increase in the growth of threats.
Yeah, and a lot of times you're covered with that kind of by default in some of your home insurance policies. I would reach out to your agent and ask what kind of cyber protections coverage you have. It's a proactive thing. Understand what you have. So in the unfortunate event that something happens to you, you'll have a little better idea what's available to you.
That's a great point there. I think we have another comment here. It's a thank you. We definitely appreciate that.
Sure.
And I'm going to kind of echo that here in closing. First of all, I'm so proud of our students. Tarini, again, you've been with us for so long. You're still one of our younger students, but have been with us for so long. It's just amazing, the combination there. But we're so proud of all that you've accomplished and all that you're going to accomplish. And I know you're eager for some new courses, and we are in the process of rolling those out and getting that ready. So we have some more exciting tech courses to work with you on. And Semra, same thing. So we have some new courses that we're going to challenge you with, and we're looking to introduce cybersecurity into our curriculum. So I feel that that's going to be something that is going to help and really kind of set Tweens and Tech apart. A lot of organizations are teaching so many different programming languages, and that's very important, and we'll continue to do that. But I want to make sure that cybersecurity is at the forefront of all that we're doing with Tweens and Tech. So we're really going to make that one of our big missions as we grow. So thank you both for taking time out of the school to be here with us. We really appreciate that. Mr. Rob, thank you so much once again for joining us and all you do and all the support that you have always given us. And Mr. Bart, thank you very much. I know a few months ago you agreed to join us, and we appreciate it and appreciate all the behind the scenes effort and dedication. And I really admire how you have created a company that has such great people. It resonates. Your hiring practices need to be adopted. There needs to be a case study on that, because they all are amazing. Everyone that we have interfaced with. So we're so proud to be a part of them, and it really shines a bright light in a positive way on Agio. So I'm a big fan.
Yep. Thank you for the opportunity, and we have a amazing team. For sure. I see Kathy's comment there. Wow. She's one of those amazing team members. Want to thank her for making this introduction and giving me this opportunity. Great.
Fantastic. Well, thank you all. Again, you can watch our previous Fireside Chats along with this one again on tweensandtech.org, along on YouTube. Follow us on YouTube. Follow us on all platforms. Please continue to support. We have a lot of thank yous and comments. Thank you for everyone here. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you next time. December 3rd will be our next Fireside Chat. It's going to be about how to make a difference in giving back. So we have various topics each time. And sometimes it's not about tech, it's just about humanity. And we want to help everyone in that regard as well. So we're looking forward to that. Thank you, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.